Alright, so today I'm making a video on why I think Invincible is the best show of all time. And I do think it's close. I think there's some pretty good shows out there, but I do truly believe that Invincible is just on another level when it comes to shows. There's very few shows that come out nowadays that don't have some sort of shitty aspect of them. And whether it's like a game adaptation that's just garbage, like the Halo series, or, maybe it's an animated show that's just not up to par. Invincible is just too fucking good. Straight up, it's goated. It's actually too good. Now if you haven't heard of Invincible, I'd be surprised because it's kind of blowing up now that season 2 is finally finished. And I will say, I'm not a person who's read the comics, not once. I've been tempted, but over the course of being a degenerate who watches a lot of shows, I've learned that it's better just to wait for the show adaptation, to get my hype up even more than to just skip ahead and read the comics, even though I'm sure the comics were fantastic. And if you don't know, Invincible is a comic adaptation, and the premise is essentially it's kind of like The Boys with a more serious tone animated. And now I know animation might not be for everyone. Like I know there's a bunch of people who probably don't like watching animations because they think it's that weeb shit. But I'll say Invincible is a show that I think everyone should watch. I would rate it on the same level as Arcane, um, bare minimum. And while the animation might not be as crisp all the time as Arcane, this show is just on another level when it comes to the plot, when it comes to the storylines, when it comes to the characters, when it comes to like the unique aspect of everything. It's fantastic. Now, the first time I saw the show was back when season 1 released. I heard of it and I was like, "Oh, okay, this looks interesting," because at the time I was watching like Vox Machina, I was watching um a few other shows. We'll just say that. Um and a little bit of spoilers here if you haven't watched the show, but this is just like brief rundowns of like shit in the show. And if these clips don't impress you, that's fine. This show I would actually argue is more narrative than it is about the combat, but the combat is still like S tier. And just for context, yeah, I did watch the show when it first came out, and I kind of assumed it was gonna be like the generic superhero, just like comic adaptation of just you know, just generic superhero stuff where it's like hero saves the day, hero gets powers, like a Miles Morales, where it's just like, okay, well, this guy's just basically supposed to be Superman. I will say the good test to see if you like this show or not is genuinely the first episode, and I know the episodes are like an hour long, which kind of just makes the show even better. Um, but if you do watch this show on episode 1 and you don't enjoy episode 1, maybe you won't enjoy the rest of the series. But I think the series is perfect at tackling. It tackles like serious issues. It'll tackle, like depression. It'll tackle like responsibility. Tackles like all the major things without it feeling forced. Like it feels like it's just genuinely what the characters go through rather than just uh like a forced instance of you're supposed to be feeling the responsibility here and all this garbage. Kind of like what's a good show that like does a shit job at like showcasing that? I can't think of any off the top of my head animated, but like I mentioned it before, like the Halo show is really really bad at showcasing anything serious. Um Rick and Morty did very good, I think, in like season 2 and 3 of the seriousness, but kind of fell off after a while. and it's kind of more just about the jokes, which is fine. That's what Rick and Morty's for. But Invincible is for like this tackles everything. It's got great comedy, it's got great humor, it's got everything, man. It's just literally like normally a jack of all trades is a master of none. This is a master of everything. Um and I mentioned it does tackle serious issues. It does have great combat. Just for an idea of the sort of humor, I'll just play this clip from the show. Um and this is spoiler free, basically. This is just basically a what's it called? Seance Dog is just basically like an in-game or in-universe comic. It's nothing serious, but yeah, I'll just play this clip real quick.
Philip Schaff, oh man, I'm a huge fan.
Thanks, buddy. Means a lot.
I gotta ask, when's the new season of Seance Dog coming out?
You mean the show? Probably not for another year. Sorry, animation takes a long time.
Oh, I can't imagine how much work it must be for those fight scenes.
Yeah, those take a while, but we cut corners in other places to make it manageable. You ever notice that sometimes whoever's speaking has their mouth off camera so you never see their lips moving?
Huh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, or we'll cut to the back of someone's head while they're talking for the same reason. Other times we'll do a wide shot and slowly pan across it. It looks like it's animated, but it's so far away, you don't notice nothing's moving. The best part is, because all these scenes have limited animation, we can make the drawings even better. But sometimes the artists get carried away and it kind of looks like a different show. It's crazy what you can get away with. Thanks for coming by.
No, thank you. I'm gonna watch season 2 way closer.
But yeah, so that just showcases basically the sense of humor the show goes for, where they're definitely aware of the issues in the show, you know, because when season 1 did finish, the biggest issues I saw were sometimes the animation was kind of lower quality, and you'll see that in the show where like they'll come off a really crazy fight and animation just won't look the same. But it isn't just like scenes where you don't need to have crazy animation. They're just trying to portray something. And I know there's a lot of low quality animes that kind of get away with that. Like, I don't know if you guys ever heard of, is it called Radiant? Fuck, I don't remember the name actually off the top of my head now. I think it's called Radiant. I might be wrong. But if you watch anime, you'll understand there's some animes that just don't have the same level of quality as like others. But they can still have great story. I think this show just has fantastic, like this show knows exactly when it needs great animation, and it knows exactly when it can just like kind of pull back the budget and then just worry about like important things in the show. And I do think the show is, I can't believe it's an 8.7. I think this show is like the closest thing to perfection other than whatever season 2 of Arcane could be. Because in my opinion, I think like it would go for animated shows, it would go like Invincible, Arcane, and then probably like a Vox Machina or something around there. But Vox Machina I would say is like sort of niche. Like if you said you didn't like Vox Machina or you've never heard of it, I don't blame you. It's not like a crazy series. But Invincible I think should just be mainstream. This shit is just, it's actually too good. Like the way I think it does everything so perfect, animation and the jokes and everything, it's just also complemented by the fact that every character in this show makes you want to care about them in a not forced way. And what I mean by that is that you'll have shows where they'll give you like 5 to 10 characters. Let me use like Peaky Blinders as like an example, right? You had like the main cast being Thomas Shelby, you had Arthur, you had John Boy, and you had Finn. The whole show, I didn't give a fuck about Finn at all. And the only time you were really shown to really care about Finn was when he almost blew up in a car. Little spoiler, I guess. And then like another few times where he makes mistakes, but like you never really care for Finn. Like he showcases like a dickhead that like gets away with being part of the most expensive mob in the or most expensive the like biggest mob basically around, of the Peaky Blinders. But and now showcasing fucking this show. Get the shit out of here. Give me Invincible, bro. This shit's garbage. Fucking Falcon. Who's heard of that guy? Anyways, but yeah, the way modern superhero movies have become is also just shit. I think this is a great example of that. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. I need to focus. Yeah, so the the way they make you care about all the characters in the show is like every character feels like relatable to some extent, for example, main character might have some problems, adapting to responsibility, but if you're not feeling the main character during whatever arc he's in, there's almost always a character having an issue that you can relate with or that you can get interested in because the show takes their time like sort of molding stories for everyone, it's not just Invincible, right? Even though that's what the show's called. It's Invincible, it's the Guardians of the Globe, I think they're called. It's, Omni-Man, it's everyone, you know? Like you get a good flavor of everyone throughout the entire show. It's so perfect at like knowing when to pull back on a character because sometimes in other shows, you'll start to get burnt out of characters, like maybe you're watching Thomas Shelby for 5 episodes straight and you're just kind of getting bored with like the new relationship he's in and you're just like, I just don't care, man, show me Arthur or something. Invincible is perfect at like not showing you too much of Invincible or of Adam and Eve or of Rex, you know. Um they'll show them, they'll have like their moment and then throughout that episode they'll be having multiple other little storylines going on, you know. And everything about, you know, animations, story, plot, everything is just so perfectly in place. Like the whole time I'm watching the show, I'm at the edge of my seat, looking at every single frame because I just can't wait to watch perfection, It's like watching someone paint the Mona Lisa without knowing the final result. It's just so fucking you just know it's going to be good, It's great. It's a fantastic show. I think there's a pretty good argument that it's one of the greatest of all time. Maybe that's going a little too far, but I do think Invincible right now is definitely one of the greatest shows of all time. And as a superhero genre, I think it's on another level because superhero movies nowadays are kind of just show. Superhero shows and movies nowadays are kind of just shit, and we can be honest. Like I don't remember the last good Superman. The last Batman wasn't too bad, but it was just long and kind of felt like multiple movies, if that makes sense. But it definitely needed to be that length, otherwise it just would have been not as fulfilling. It was kind of weird, but it wasn't like bad. It was just weird, I guess, a little different. But yeah, other than that, it's just like, what do we have? Fucking the Widow show that came out. I don't even fucking remember. Black Widow show that came out. I don't even fucking know. What is it called? The Spiderlings or some garbage. It's just like we have that and we have. Actually, let me just see if I can look up real quick. Super shows. Like uh 2024. Yeah, Invincible is definitely Superman and Lois. Yeah, I haven't even heard of some of these, I'll be honest. But Deadpool 3 could be cool. But yeah, it's just, like Falcon. Like, there hasn't been a Marvel or DC show to come out, and I'm not, like, a mega fan or whatever of Marvel and DC. There hasn't been, like, a show like that come out where I've just really cared. I'm just bored with it all. And then the Halo adaptation shit, Borderlands movies coming out. It does not look good, so that video game adaptation is gonna be, let's be honest, probably shit. Fallout show comes out, what is that, 4 days? Because it's the 7th for me in April. So that comes out soon. I'll be watching that, but I'm not expecting anything too high. It's just, it's definitely rough for adaptations. Very rarely are we getting good adaptations. The only two in recent history that I can think of is Vox Machina being the Dungeon and Dragon shit, and Invincible, to be honest. Um, and then Arcane, I guess. But was that a few years ago? Fuck, I'm getting old. But yeah, um, Invincible, one of the greatest shows, definitely of this generation. Might be one of the greatest shows of all time. Um, and yeah, if you haven't watched this show already, if you haven't heard of it, I think you're living under a rock. But if you haven't watched the show already, highly recommend giving the first episode a try. If you don't like the first episode, you don't have to continue watching it. I definitely think the show deserves even more credit than it's already got, and it's already got a shit ton of credit. Like Moist Criticals made a video on it. This show's just so good at everything. It's so good at fucking everything. But at the end of the day, there are some shows that like some people just can't get into. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I wanted to get a different style video out there because sometimes MMA just burns me out and it's just fucking boring. But hey, at least there's some good shows to watch. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.